Financial principles. And so we'll be all in Proverbs today. I don't think I'll probably leave Proverbs at all, although a lot of these principles are all throughout the Bible. But Proverbs 28, and you can see this verse 6. Better is the poor that walketh in his uprightness than he that is perverse in his ways, though he be rich. Proverbs is full of financial wisdom. We would be wise to take heed and control our attitudes and actions in this vital area of life. The Bible never says, what people think it says, the Bible never says money is not important. It says the opposite. It never says that. It says you should not worship money. It says you should love money, but it says you're supposed to be careful with your money. I just want to read you a verse out of Luke 16, and it says this. It says, Luke 16, it says, therefore make yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when ye fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitations. Luke 16 and verse 9. You're supposed to make money your friend. And understanding it calls it, make yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness. It says the friend, you be real careful about that friend, because it can be very dangerous for most people. Money is supposed to be your friend. Okay, that's what it says there. What does that mean? It means money is something that's beneficial, and it helps you. It feeds your family. It makes it so you can give to missions. It's not a burden to you. But when you're not good with money, it is not your friend. It's your burden. When you're always putting yourself in debt, when you're not handling it well. And so you should handle money well. It's a very important thing. The average person in this area is going to earn in their lifetime working well over $2 million in their lifetime. You say, yeah, those people, but not me. If you average $50,000 a year, which the average household earns over $80,000 a year in this region, if you earn $50,000 a year for 40 years, that's $2 million. And most people work more than 40 years. Then you got Social Security coming in after that. Most people earn over $2 million. Most everybody who works in this room will earn that. And then they say, where did it all go? Well, that's the thing, is did you make it your friend? Because it says that when you fail, when you die, they may receive you into everlasting habitations. You meet your money in heaven. And money can be a big, huge depression thing for you. It can be something that it ruins your marriage. They say it's the number one problem in marriage is finances. I don't agree with that, but that's what the statistics and the counselors say, and it's certainly up there. I think the money reveals a lot of things. I don't think it's the cause, but it certainly puts a lot of pressure on people and stresses people out and does a lot of things. So we want to handle money well. Proverbs is full of financial wisdom, and we want to handle our money well. So I'm going to jump right in so we can get through these because we have a pretty good amount of them, and I'd like to finish this off in 1 week. Number one is don't be greedy, and we'll go pretty much chronologically through Proverbs and see these things. Don't be greedy. Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 15. My son, walk not thou in the way with them. Refrain thy foot from their path. For their feet run to evil, and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird, and they lay wait for their own blood. They will lurk privately for their own lives. So are the ways of every one that is greedy of gain, which taketh away the life of the owners thereof. So don't be greedy. The Bible says labor not to be rich. It's not our goal to be rich. Because of where we live and because of, the blessings around us, sometimes you may become rich because you're diligent and all those things, but it's not our goal. Our goal is to serve God at our job and have God provide our needs and to thank God for everything He gives us. But sometimes you do, because you live in America, you live in Seattle area or whatever, you're very gifted or talented or whatever. You might become rich because of inheritance. You might become rich by a lot of things, but it's not your goal. You're not laboring for that. So don't be greedy. Number one, be a giver to the Lord. If you're greedy, you're not a giver. Chapter 3, verse 9, honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst forth with new wine. Everybody's supposed to tithe. The Bible never says, it actually says the opposite. If the poor don't need a tithe, the poor are very specifically given instructions on how to tithe. When they bring their offering, they can't afford a lamb, but they can bring a turtle dove. But everybody's supposed to give. Honor the Lord with all thy substance. And you, everybody, rich and poor, be a giver to the Lord. Put the Lord first. Honor the Lord, it says, with your substance. Honor the Lord with your substance, and give God glory for what you have. Then be a giver to man, and there's a lot about this in Proverbs. We'll read several of these verses. Let's spread this out a little bit, so I'm not reading every verse. Who wants to read 3:27? Okay, Richie. Who wants to read 14:21? Okay, Andrew's got that. Who wants to read 19:17? Okay, Mr. Warren. And 29:7. Who wants to read that? Okay, Alex. And let's go ahead and start with that. Richie, go ahead. Okay, do good to people when you can do it. By the way, the next verse says, don't come back and say, I'll do it later when you can do it. Otherwise, you delay in generosity and delay in finance is a big problem. Okay, next.
He that despiseth his neighbor sinneth, but he that hath mercy on the poor happy is he.
Okay, you're happy if you have mercy on the poor. 19:17.
He who has pity on the poor lends to the Lord, and he will pay back what he has given.
Okay, well, you help the poor, you are loaning that money to God, and God will repay you. 29:7.
The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it.
Okay, there are many Scrooges in the world who have plenty, but they don't give to poor, and they have people suffer. The rich man in Luke 16 and so forth. Do not be a greedy person. It's okay for you to have money. It's not okay for money to have you. Okay, and so hold lightly to that which God gives you, and be a giver to man. There's more people coming in there. Andy, did you leave those back there for somebody?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Who's got them? Alex, you got them? Okay, all right. Okay, we'll go ahead and look. The next one, don't take advantage of poor people. Chapter 22 and verse 16, and let's go there. Let me swing over there. Chapter 22, don't take advantage of poor people. He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches shall, and he that giveth the rich shall surely come to want. And so verse 22, it says, rob not the poor because he is poor, neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. And then we'll do 23 also. For the Lord will plead their cause, and his soul, and spoil the soul of those that spoil them. So why would you rip off the poor? Why would you do that? There's a lot of reasons if you just think about it. Most of crime, most of financial crime is done against poor people. And there's multiple reasons. One, rich people generally are more careful with their finances. They are better educated on handling money and paying more attention. That's a lot of times how they got there. But who can give me an example of taking advantage of the poor and robbing the poor and taking advantage of the poor? Anybody give me in society an illustration of that? Yes, Patty? Okay. Yep. Okay.
They put those loan offices, the sharks,
Yep.
in those particular neighborhoods at a higher interest rate.
Yep. They put the loan places in those areas. Most scams, like you take the colleges who give you a degree that won't work anywhere. They do those things during daytime TV because poor people are at home watching daytime TV. They're watching, all those things. And poor people you can take advantage of. People who have money, you can't loan them money for high interest rates. And so here's a person, and you say, well, you've got this thing. We'll give you the money, but you got to give us the title of that thing. And if you don't pay it, and they do that. I was talking to someone who rented out houses. He says, I do rent to owns. He said, all of them think their finances are going to be good someday, but they never get. I said, if your credit's good enough, we'll sell you the house in 5 years and at this price and all the money you put into it. And he says, they never do, and I always keep all the money, And I think that people take advantage of people who aren't good with money. And I think you have to be in a situation where people can't take advantage of you. You don't need a payday loan. because you don't have quite enough money to make it until next week, so you borrow it. I mean, they've minimized what you can charge now, but it used to be 1,500% sometimes. Because you pay, people didn't do the math. They say, no, they're only taking $15 out of my $200 check. That's in 2 weeks. If you APR that annual percentage rate, it's ridiculous what you just paid in interest. And so you shouldn't take advantage of the poor. Sometimes they don't they don't always know how to deal with things, and so don't take advantage of them. It's a bad thing to do. So don't be greedy. You're actually supposed to help the poor. Number 2, don't be lazy. Chapter 20. By the way, taking advantage of the poor, it happens with immigration all the time. People are here illegally in the U.S., and they can't work above board, so people will pay them under the table, under the wages of even minimum wage. It's taking advantage of the poor. And so there's lots of ways that are, it's all bad, and so don't do that. Don't be lazy. This is a big one in finances. Chapter 20 and verse 13. Love not sleep, lest thou come to poverty. Open thine eyes, and thou shalt be satisfied with bread. That's pretty strong message there. We have don't be lazy. I just read 20 and verse 13. Let's do 13 and 4. That should have been the first one you read. The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. Both times it says you'll get what you need if you work hard. All right, who wants to read some verses? Proverbs chapter 6 and Proverbs chapter 6 verse 10 and 11. Anybody? Any verses? Okay, Charlie, why don't you get that? Proverbs 6, 10, 11. And who wants to read 24, 30 through 34? This is kind of, okay, Daniel will do that. Okay. First of all, point number 1 is underneath this, don't be lazy. Don't oversleep. All right. That's very specific. They talked about in the Bible multiple times. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yet I did sleep, did slumber, did falling of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travels, and thy want as an armed man.
So it says, just a little more sleep. I'm going to sleep a little bit more. Okay, I can still go out there and work on this a little bit later. Okay, I'm going to sleep a little bit more. And it says, you're going to come to poverty. Don't oversleep. Get up. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, the Proverb says. Lazy people need much more sleep than people who aren't lazy. It's just a fact. Okay, let's see. Proverbs 24, 30 through 34.
Then I saw it and considered it well. I looked upon it and see the destruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that travels, and thy want as an armed man.
So again, we see just that this guy's house, his vineyard is all overgrown and falling apart, and it just says, because he just kept on wanting to sleep a little more, sleep a little more, sleep a little more. And oversleep leads to poverty. And there's a lot of reasons for that. If you try to get things done, just for example, late in the day, you know how hard it is with traffic and lines and everything else. You want to get things done, go early in the morning. Go when business is open. You don't like waiting in a line at the DMV? Go early. But it's also because you're rushing around last minute. You forget things. You're rushing out the door because you slept until the very last second, and then you're late to work. And then you say, "Well, I had enough time if I wouldn't have got those red lights, or if I would have been able to find my keys." It's because you're a late person that you don't have time to find your keys. It's a character problem. It's why. And by the way, don't leave somewhere that everything has to go right for you to get there on time. Leave to get there early. Stuff doesn't go all right. Okay? And so don't be a last minute person, but certainly don't oversleep. It leads to poverty. Learn to get up. I had this problem. I had a problem sleeping. I had something physical. I don't know what it is. Never figured out what it was. I just lived with it. I had something wrong with my body until I was 28. From childhood, when the mornings I couldn't. It was agonizing, and it was something was physically wrong. I always wondered. I've told you that before. I always feel like I'm strong and tough and can handle things. how do people get out of bed when it's this hard? Because I couldn't move. I was in agony when I woke up, and I don't know what it was. It's not like that anymore. I can just, I used to not have to set an alarm ever. I can just tell myself to wake up and get up, and I don't have a problem getting up. But something was wrong with me, and I was also very lazy added to that, and so I got fired from jobs. I couldn't get up in the morning, and I overslept a lot. I missed a lot of school, and it was a real problem for a long time. And so it's a problem. You got to get up in the morning. And you got to be able to choose when you get up and not just let your body be lazy. And over time, and people say, well, I can't get up and I can't fall asleep. Just, please, I've dealt with this for so long with people and myself. If you keep getting up on time, your body will eventually get tired enough to fall asleep. Okay, just keep getting up on time. And you'll do that. And by the way, if you can't fall asleep at night, no technology within 2 hours of when you got to sleep. I'm just telling you, I can give you the scientific studies and bore you to death. You can't sleep. Technology is designed to keep you awake, and it does things to your brain that makes your brain so you can't sleep. That's why you lay in bed at 3 a.m. and go, I can't sleep. And so you don't have technology within hours, they say. And so it'll help you sleep. So don't oversleep. Underneath that also, don't just be a talker. Go to work. Oh man, this is a big one here. Talking is a problem for people. It's intentions. Proverbs chapter 14, in verse 23, in all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. So I'm so blessed because of the way my life is. I just can't talk about things. I just got to do them. When the idea comes, the time comes. Yesterday, a lot of you saw me cleaning my truck. I thought I was going to buy pumpkins yesterday morning and then Taylor had bought the pumpkins already. And so I had free time. Boom. Started cleaning my truck. It was a disaster inside. You could survive for a month off what was inside my truck underneath the seats. And it was just a disaster. So boom, I just started doing something. So I don't have time to talk about, oh, I really wish I would get this license or I could apply for this. I can't live that way. Quit talking about what you're going to do. Just go do it. Just quit talking. One day I'm going to go get my degree. One day I'm going to go and I'm going to start saving money. I'm going to start a business someday. And the talk of the lips leads only to poverty. What's your plan? When you starting? Give me your plan. Well, I am going to, but I can't really put anything concrete right now. Okay, how many semesters you've been saying you're going back to college? Hey, let's call the college right now and see what you have to do to enroll. Quit talking about stuff. Just do it. In labor, there is profit. Quit talking. Next, that's a financial principle in the Bible. Don't make excuses. Proverbs 26. I think today is going to be a rough day. I think both services, man, it's going to be a small Sunday next week. And Proverbs 26. But it's what it says, amen? That's what it says there, Proverbs 26. Don't make excuses. Oh, man. Proverbs 26, and let's hit verse 13. The slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way. A lion is in the streets. As the door turneth upon its hinges, so doth the slothful upon his bed. The slothful man hideth his hands in his bosom, and will not bring it again to his mouth. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men who can render a reason. Bunch of things there. Don't make excuses. There's a lion in the streets. There's always a reason for you to fail. There's always a reason for you not to be able to get it done. There's always a reason for you not to make it happen. Or there's a reason for you not to be a good Christian. There's a reason for you not to have a good family. Or there's a reason for you to get divorced. There's a reason for you to be a failure in life. Don't make excuses. There's a lion in the street. If there was as many things happened in the world as you make an excuse of might happen, and that makes you not do what you should do, the world wouldn't function. And don't make excuses. Let something stop you. Don't let what might happen stop you. If you know how important that is in life, if you know how that would change your life, don't let what might happen stop you. Let what actually happens stop you. You'd be surprised how many barriers you think will stop you will be removed if you would just go and do. Don't make excuses. Everybody has excuses. Notice in verse 16, the lazy people think they are wise. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men who they can render a reason. They usually don't know their problem. You try to help the people who have these problems, and they just tell you what you just don't understand. You don't know. It's different for them. Look, don't make excuses. You can succeed or not. I've had to, and I want to get myself on precarious, get in trouble right here, but it's so important that I say this. There is no excuse for a young person to have a miserable life in America and say, I just couldn't make it. Or just isn't. And I don't accept the race thing. I've been given it because I've worked in minority areas for so long, and we have so many minorities in our church. I don't accept it. I don't believe it. I believe no matter what your race is, you buckle down, you work hard, you get a 4.0 GPA, and you go to college and get a 4.0 GPA, so you're going to get hired. Okay? You say, well, how can you prove that? Okay. The rich people in America, of course, are white people. Nope. They're not the first. They're not the second. They're not the third. They're not the fourth. The richest people in America are the Asians on the East Coast of Asia. Chinese, Korean, Japanese are the richest people in America. Second richest people are East Indians. Okay? They're the second richest people in America. Third richest people are Nigerians. Okay? It's called buckling down. These immigrants come here and work hard and tell their kids, you're going to get good grades. and the kids buckle down and work hard. And I'm not saying that some people don't have a slight disadvantage and there's not a little bit of hill. But if you work hard, don't make excuses. Just find a way and you'll succeed in life. Everybody, I grew up in a single home. I grew up in all kinds of problems. A single parent home. Everybody's got an excuse. Just don't make an excuse. Because people, it's weird. A lot of people, it's like, I got an excuse to fail. Now when I fail, at least I have a reason. What a miserable thing to do with your life. No. Say, hey, I got some challenges, but I'm going to overcome those. That's the way to live. Don't tell a kid he can't make it. No kid, don't tell them they can't make it. Encourage them. You can make it. Get up. Try hard. Work hard. And don't make excuses in life. You say, but I grew up in a drug home and I did drugs and now I'm 35 years old and I have a career. Okay, you had a bad start. I understand you're disadvantaged. Now, get up and have a great life. That's it. Just do it. Don't make excuses for failure. Conquer, overcome. God will help you and help you with that. People make excuses from every little thing. My mom told me I'll never succeed in life, and so I have failed. Stop! My dad told me I was stupid, so I've always felt like I'm stupid, so I don't even try. Okay, try. Stop making excuses. Just go do it. You can do it with God's help. You can make it. Don't make excuses. Next, be diligent. Proverbs chapter 12. And by the way, we've had such incredible success with disadvantaged people in our church who've succeeded in life because they didn't make excuses. They just went and tried hard. And they made it. And praise God for that. And no matter where you start, if you're behind the finish line, you're behind the start line, if you're a little farther than somebody else, then run faster. But you can make it. Just go. Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 11. He that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that followeth vain persons is void of understanding. Diligence is an important thing. Work hard. Let's swing to verse 24. I want to just talk about that for a second there. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Let me might have time. This upward mobility. Okay, another verse I'll give you. I'm not going to read it, but 22, 29. Look, people in the Bible, they moved up. Okay, you'll bear rule if you're diligent. Our society has so many slacking people who don't work hard. If you work hard, you'll stand out. If you go the extra mile, show up a little bit early, stay a little bit late, learn an extra skill at work you're not required to learn. If you do some extra things, you can really move up. Joseph did it. Daniel did it. I think that I've tried to get our men in our church and our ladies that are in business to look, we're in America. Upper mobility is like nowhere in the history of the world. It's unbelievable that a man whose mom was married to Kenyan and then divorced him and was raised by his grandma became president of the United States. Okay, as the President Obama. It's amazing what it can happen in America. Okay, it's just an amazing country, and I tell our people, look. If you're not content where you are, make a plan. Expand your business. Get another crew. Add a new part to your business. Go ahead and double what you're doing, or hire more people. But don't just there's nothing wrong with being the one who you don't have to be an employee your whole life. Now it's okay to be an employee if you have a good job and you like it. But sometimes you need to say, I got to start a business because I want to do this with my life, and I want to retire. Then be diligent and make a plan and work it, and do that. We got a lot of verses here. I don't think we're going to read all of them. But let me get to the next verse. Who wants to read 11:28? My page is folded there. Okay, Andrew, want to do that, and then let me go to. And then somebody else want to do 11:15? Okay, let's do Daniel that, and then let's do 17:18 there, Mr. Warren. And then 22, 26, and 27. Somebody hasn't read yet? 22, 26? Okay, back here. Give me your name again. I always forget your name. Amanda. Thank you, Amanda. Okay, so I'm going to go back and read one more verse about diligence because it's so emphasized, then we'll get to the next point. 27 and 23. It says, Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well unto thy herds. So be diligent. Work hard, do all those things. Okay, next point is don't trust riches. Chapter 11, verse 28.
He that trusteth in his riches shall fall, but the righteous shall flourish as a branch.
There is no real security in anything but God. Even riches can fly away, and banks can collapse, and economies can collapse, and inflation can come. Don't trust your riches. Trust the Lord. Next, be very careful about co-signing. All right, who's got 11:15?
He that is surety for a stranger shall not pay. He that hateth suretyship is sure.
Okay, so when it's talking about this surety in the Bible, it's talking about co-signing. In other words, you have something, and you're going to sign that thing off for this person. So you're responsible to pay for it, co-signing. You're going to put your house, your car, your credit, your whatever. You put your credit card on their thing in case they don't pay. It says never do that for a stranger, first of all. But even ever doing it, be very, very, very careful about it. And, okay, let's see who's next on that, 17:18.
A man devoid of understanding shakes hands in a pledge and becomes surety for his friend.
Okay, it says you're void of understanding if you become surety for your friend. Why is that? Because when someone needs you to co-sign, that means they have a problem paying things. One of my pastors, he used to co-sign for people, and one time he was saying he just told his staff, don't ever do it. And they said, how many co-signs do you have right now? He says, I have 22. He says, how many are you paying for? He says, 16. He says, I'm making the payments on 16 of them. He says, don't do it, because you lose your friends. They you got money, man, you can handle this. You know I'm barely scraping by. Or whatever they do. And it doesn't say never do it. Okay, you might have a family member you completely trust, and they're 18 and they're starting out and da-da-da. Maybe, but understand, if you do it, the rule is that you will not be upset at all if they never make a payment. That's the only way to do it. Because otherwise it ruins relationships. And it's usually not wise. We got a couple more verses on that. Who's got 22, 26, 27? Did I get that out? I might not have given that. Oh, there you go. Yes, 22. Did I say 22, 26, and 27? Chapter 22. Yep. Chapter 22 and then verses 26 and 27.
Be not thou one of them that strike hands, or of them that are say, why should he take away thy bed from under thee?
Thanks, Amanda. So you see, it's just not wise, and so be very careful about that. I've been asked, and don't do this to me. I've been asked to co-sign. I've been asked to post bail. I've been asked everything over the years, and I don't risk my family's security for your situation. And don't say you're not a nice pastor. You don't love people. No, I love my family. Okay, and please don't ask me to co-sign for you. It just puts me in an awkward situation. Okay, I'd rather just give you the money if I had it than co-sign and deal with it that way. And so it's just not a wise thing. Next, don't be wasteful. Chapter 12. Oof. Let's see how far we can get in this. These are just principles. You live by them. It'll help you a lot. Verse 27. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. Poor people are wasteful. I've said this before. Go to a rich area. We go witnessing in all areas. Okay, that we've been in every house in this region we've been to, and there's very rich houses and very poor areas. You go to a rich area, you'll never find change on the ground. You go to a poor area, there's coins all over the ground. And why? Because they're poor for a reason most of the time. I'm not talking about when I'm in the middle of Africa or in Haiti or somewhere. They're poor because of where they are. But poor, they're like, it's just a quarter. And the guy who's got a big old, 4,000 square foot house overlooking the lake, he's like, a quarter. Because substance is precious. And you would think of poor people take way better care of their car. No. They trash them. And not always. I'm not saying that always. Sometimes there's their immigration status. There's 1,000 things that might make someone in a different situation. I'm just saying a poor person. And by the way, people who never save money, they say it's just $5. It's just $10. It's just a little this. I just, it's just a coffee. I'm just a little discouraged this morning. And the person who's diligent with their money saves it up. Their substance is precious. They take care of their things. They watch their dollars. They're careful about things. I know a very, very wealthy person, and they got ripped off. And I'm talking a person who millions and millions of dollars and spends hundreds of thousands just all the time. And they got ripped off with a garbage can. And the garbage can, and they got ripped off $100. And they ordered this garbage can, and the picture of the garbage can is this beautiful stainless steel garbage can. It was this tall. And they said, I've kept it. And he said, I put it right there where I'll see it every time I make a coffee, because where I put my Keurig things, I put it inside there to remind myself I can be dumb sometimes and be careful. Okay, you got to be careful with your stuff, and don't be a wasteful person. Take care of your stuff. Don't throw away your food. Eat it as leftovers. All right. Let's go ahead. All right. I feel like I'm talking in French Swahili here or something, and people are like, what in the world? Yep. Yeah, we have big pans at our house. So we have. And so, all right. Don't be wasteful. Let's see. Do we read 21:20? 21:20. And it says, I don't think we read that one. It says, there is treasure to be desired in the dwelling of the wise, but the foolish man spendeth it up. Foolish, oh man, I want to say so much about, I just hate seeing people not have any money, and then their car breaks down, and then they have no car for 3 months. It grieves me when I know they make enough money. If you're saying, I don't know where all my money goes, there's a problem. You should know exactly where your money goes. And when we talk to people and say, you know what, you need to write down your expenditures for the week. And they'll come back and they'll say, I did not realize I was spending so much money on. That's so common. I didn't realize I was spending so much money on fast food. I didn't realize I was spending on coffee. I realized I was spending so much money on video games, on technology. They don't realize. I don't know I spent that much on Amazon in a month. Well, check it, and because they don't know. Spendeth it up. Next, don't get wealth in a dishonest way. We'll hit that quickly. I think that's pretty obvious. There's never a justification to do wrong, to get money, even if you're in dire straits. Verse 11, wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, and he that gathereth by labor shall increase. And so don't do that. Leave. I'm gonna go a little bit fast here. Leave money for 2 generations. It says the good man leaveth an inheritance for his children's children. 13:22. It is better to be poor and to have the Lord. It is better to be poor and have the Lord. The Bible does not say it's wrong to be poor. There are people who are going to be poor because of various circumstances, especially in different places in the world, but they can still be happy and blessed because they have the Lord. And chapter 15 and verse 16, but they'll always have enough. But it says, let me find my verse here, chapter 15 and verse 16, better is little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. And you can read the other verse there, 22 verse 2 and 28 verse 6. And you can read those on your own. Money can change relationships. Understand that. Money is a powerful thing. You better have something deeper and strong because money can change relationships. It can make people hate you and things. Chapter 18 and verse 23, it says, the poor useth entreaties, but the rich answereth roughly. Sometimes people get money, it changes them. And if you get money, people change the way they talk to you. And do that. I do that. I have before with people with money. They've said, I really know who my friends are, and I've just sometimes said to them, look, you need a friend doesn't want anything from you, so I will never ask you for anything. Just to let you know that I'm not going to ask you for anything because I know that they have the relationships have changed with people, and it's a weird thing. If you have money, people think you owe it to them to give them some of yours, and you don't. And if you say, well, they have money, it's not going to bother them. I've seen people so bitter about that. It's not even going to hurt them, but it changed my life. They don't owe you anything. And don't expect anything from them. Okay? It changes relationships. And don't be a petty person who doesn't like somebody because they don't give you money when you have a need. Nobody owes you anything. Okay? I'm not saying they can't give to you. They can if they want to, but that's giving, not extortion. Not, I'm never going to talk to you. And it's petty and small. And by the way, I never intimidate and give in anything. That's something wrong with them. And so it is better to be poor and have the Lord. Money can change relationships. Don't seek fast money. This one I'm going to spend a little bit of time on. Proverbs 22. We've read it. All labor there is profit, and the diligent their stuff is precious if they worked hard for it. Don't seek fast money. 21 in verse 5. The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but everyone that is hasty only to want. Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 21. It says, the inheritance may be gotten hastily at the beginning, but the end thereof shall not be blessed. Hasty money. Chapter 28, I think, says it really good. Chapter 28 and verse 20. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that maketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent. To have respect of persons is not good. For a piece of bread, that man will transgress. He that hasteth to be rich hath an evil eye, and considereth not that poverty shall come upon him. I'm not saying you got a great job, turn it down at all. I'm just saying I'm gonna get rich really quick, then I'll not have to work the rest of my life. That's not biblical, and it turns out bad. It's very unhealthy mentally, and it turns out bad. I just want to read you real quick some situations from lottery winners. Get rich quick. It's horrible, the history of lottery winners. It's not a pretty history, and I'll just go through just some of them real quick. This is a news article from the New York Post. Winning isn't everything. It's more likely you'll get struck by lightning than win the Powerball. But if you do win, there's an even better chance that you'll go broke. Nearly 70% of lottery winners end up broke within 7 years. Even worse, several winners have died tragically or witnessed those close to them suffer. Edward Ugal, author of the book of Money for Nothing, One Man's Journey to the Dark Side of Millions, told the Daily Beast that thousands of lottery winners he's known, few are happy, and only a small number of them live happily ever after. You'd be blown away to see how many winners wish they'd never won, he said. One of those unlucky winners was Abraham Shakespeare. Just weeks before Shakespeare was killed, he told his mother that he had wished he had never won. Shakespeare hit big for $30 million in 2006, causing friends and family to hound him for money. He befriended Dee Moore, which tricked Shakespeare into believing she was trying to protect him from greedy people around him. Moore convinced the lottery winner to transfer his assets to her before he went missing in 2009. Of course, she was charged with murder, and he was killed. David Lee Edwards lived in human feces before his death. He won $27 million in 2001. While unemployed in South Florida, he quickly blew through the money by purchasing a $1.6 million house in Palm Beach Gardens, 3 race horses, a fiber optics company, a Learjet, a limo business, and a $200,000 Lamborghini Diablo, and a multitude of other luxuries. Edwards and his wife returned to drug use and numerous run-ins with the police for crack cocaine, pills, and heroin. He lost all of his money and in just a few years ended up in a storage unit surrounded by human feces. He later died in the hospice care at 58. This one is killed by his son-in-law. This one, William Post III, betrayed by his own brother, and he died on food stamps and was jailed after firing over the head of a bill collector because he couldn't pay his bills. But he won big in the lottery. Jack Whitaker was a little different. He was rich before he won the lottery, and he had a very comfortable life. And from West Virginia, he was worth around $17 million. Then he won $315 million in 2002. Whitaker used most of his money, most of his winnings for good. He was building churches and donated 10% to Christian charities. He also launched the Jack Whitaker Foundation to provide clothes and food for low-income families. Before his life began to fall apart, Whitaker was arrested for drunk driving and threatened the bartender after hitting it big. A woman also sued him for groping her at a racetrack. 2 separate occasions, thieves robbed him. Once outside of a strip club for $500,000 and another for $200,000. He and his wife divorced. He became an alcoholic. After supplying his 17-year-old granddaughter with a weekly allowance of $2,100, she died of a drug overdose, as did her boyfriend. And Whitaker's daughter later died of unknown causes. Both Whitaker and his wife said they wished that he had torn the ticket up, and so forth and so on. Wealth gotten speedily is oftentimes a problem. Let's finish up because we're about out of time here. Keep your taste moderate. This is super important. Chapter 21. Keep your taste moderate. I was in college and I got promoted at my job, and I gained in 1 week. I gained almost $4 an hour, and I went from part-time to full-time, and so my income would go from 25 hours a week to 40 hours a week, and $4 an hour more in 1 week because of a couple raises and stuff. And a friend of mine in college said, "What are you going to do with the extra money?" I said, "Absolutely nothing. It's going to go straight in the bank. I got to start a church someday, and I'm going to save the money for a rainy day." Stay moderate in your taste. Proverbs 21 and verse 17. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man, and he that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. You just got to have those things. Proverbs chapter 30. Keep your tastes moderate. Be happy. Having food and raiment, let us earth be content. The New Testament says. Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 7 through 9. 2 things have I desired of the Lord, deny me them not before I die. Remove from me vain persons, give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee, and say, Who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal, and take the name of my God in vain. Extreme poverty and extreme wealth can both ruin you. I think just food convenient for you. You know, if you are content with a junky car, then you get a nice car, you'll thank God for it every day. But always be at the point where you say, you know what, as long as I have a car that gets me point A to point B, I'm fine. And if you're blessed with a nicer one, enjoy it. But keep moderate in your taste. It's easy to say, I got to have one of those. Look at them. Look at my neighbor got. I got to have one of those. You were happy with your little barbecuer, then your neighbor got the barbecuer. And all of a sudden, you're taking your credit card down to Lowe's. No. You got meat and you got a barbecue. Go out there and make some good meat and invite me over. And enjoy it and keep your taste simple. And enjoy the things when you can go above that, but be content with such things as you have. And then avoid debt. Proverbs 22:7 and other verses. Verse 22:7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Proverbs 6:1-5, and we're done with time. But it says this. It says, if you have found yourself in debt and you're committed, you've signed the paper or you're shook the hand for that thing. And when the Bible talks about shaking hands in Proverbs, it's talking about sealing a deal, and that should be enough. You gave your word. It says, go and don't give sleep to your eyelids. Don't even rest till the debt's all paid off. You focus and you pay off that debt. And don't spend the person's money who you owe on your own stuff. You owe this person the money and you're going out and eating on their money. No, that's their money. You should be paying it back to them. Pay your minimum bills, then go out and spend every money getting yourself out of debt as fast as you can. It says, don't give sleep to your eyelids. Go day and night. Work like an animal escaping from a trap. You can read Proverbs 6, and I'll tell you that. It is a diligence thing, and you should avoid debt. Yeah, please don't be the person who tells me in 5 years, okay, I'm going to save you a lot of trouble. It's much easier to get into debt than get out. So don't say, well, they gave me 10% off when I made the purchase if I got their credit card, and then come back and say to me, Pastor, you were right. Don't do that. Just don't go in debt. It's so hard to get out of debt. Just don't do it. And it's not wise. I cannot biblically say it's a sin to be in debt. I don't think I can. I can just say you're a servant. You owe them. You're the servant to the lender. And just be careful about it. And interest is a tough thing. And dig yourself out and make progress. All right. Those are some principles and Proverbs. Hope you'll live by them. And guess what? They aren't very American principles. But they're biblical principles. Let's be careful, okay? Let's be careful and be wise. Amen? Let's pray. Father, thank you for the Bible and all it teaches us. I pray, Lord, that we would be wise people with our money so we could give to missionaries, so we can feed the poor kids, so we can help our grandkids go to college or whatever the reason is, Lord. I pray, Lord, that we would be wise with our money. And I pray that money would not control us. I pray we wouldn't be a person who says, well, I just had to have it. Lord, I pray to be wise. I pray to be content. I pray to be diligent. I pray that the things we have, we take good care of them. And I pray to use this lesson and use this message, and we just thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. All right.